I'm Joshua Radin, and I'm going to pick out some random questions out of this Academy Cup and do my best to answer them. What's been the proudest moment of your career so far? This exact moment. No. The proudest moment of my career thus far would be, you know what, I guess it was about 15 years ago, right when I started. I lived for many years in New York City, and I was waiting tables or doing, sort of any job I could to support myself and pay my rent. Pretty much all the money I made that didn't go to rent and like a pizza slice every day for food was to go to see concerts at this one venue. It was always at the Bowery Ballroom, and it was just my favorite venue to go see concerts, and all my favorite artists would come and play there. And so the moment I booked my own show at the Bowery Ballroom and it sold out, standing on that stage, I think that was the most surreal feeling I ever had, because my whole life I had spent just as a fan of music, and now, in this one moment I got to be not only a fan but a performer as well. So I think that always sticks out as my proudest moment. What's your favorite memory from recording the new record? I don't know if I have any memories of I spent it completely sloshed. No, let's see. Favorite memory. Good question. Well, there was this one moment where one of my favorite drummers in the whole world, Matt Chamberlain, he's played on a lot of my albums, and I actually met him in London like 15 years ago when I started. I was opening for, I was supporting Tori Amos, and he was her drummer, and I used to watch him play every night, and that's how we met. And he's just such an incredible musician, and watching him play every night and then watching him in the studio is something even more remarkable. So one of my favorite memories from recording this new album was the kick he got when at most of this album he didn't even play the drum kit. I made him do like different sounds, different electronic sounds, or different drum pads, or playing these weird little machines that were in the studio, or weird little things, and just seeing his face, I guess, when I asked him to do that instead of play the drum kit, which everyone else always asked him to do, was refreshing, I think. If you could change one thing in the world, what would it be? It sounds like I'm a Miss America contestant. World peace. If I had to pick one thing, there's so many things to change. That's a lot of pressure. One thing, if I change one thing. I mean, how do you pick anything other than world peace? As cliche as it sounds, like if you pick something like, I'd love for everyone to be able to eat, or drink clean water every day. I mean, it's amazing, but it's still not as good as world peace. If you could end all the wars just like that. I mean, it's cliche, but I guess it's cliche for a reason. For anyone that has never seen you live, what can they expect? I think most people, after they hear me live, I hear a lot of the same comments, which are we didn't think that you would be so personable on stage. Because a lot of times I think people that listen to my music, let's say in a faraway country that I never get to go play live in, like I don't know, like Russia or something, they might think, well, your music is so soft and quiet and intimate that I wouldn't expect you to be sort of affable on stage. in between the songs. So I guess when you come to see me play live, you get my music is very intimate and personal. They're like journal entries, each song, but in between the songs, I like to tell more stories about my life, and so you get to know more of me. And by the end of the night, hopefully you'll know me a lot better. You covered both Tom Petty and the Rolling Stones on the new album. Why did you pick those songs? Well, let's see. I mean, Tom Petty and the Rolling Stones, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, I should say, and the Rolling Stones are both two of my favorite bands ever, and two my favorite groups of songwriters ever. I Won't Back Down is a song that I used to play live a lot, and I just thought it'd be cool to try to come up with a new way of doing it. So on the record, it's a very different style recording, or different feel than the way I used to play it live, and certainly the way that Tom Petty played it on his album. Even though that was out without the Heartbreakers on that album, on Full Moon Fever. I just think when you cover a song, you should try to make it your own in a way. I don't really understand when I hear people cover songs and it's just like the exact same song with a different singer. It just seems like a karaoke song. And then with the Rolling Stones, Between the Buttons, their album, I love the early Stones so much. Like Between the Buttons, Aftermath, some of those early records are just so, I mean, I love all their albums, but the early stuff is so interesting to me, and some of the songwriting I find it's so unique. And She Smiled Sweetly is just one of those songs that I've loved for my entire life. And it's such a bizarre song when you listen to the lyrics. I don't even really, I don't know exactly what it's about. But every time I sing it, I have different ideas about what it's about, and I think that's a really cool thing about a song. And I don't know, I guess that's it.